Hi there everybody and welcome to Bridge Too Far Tactics. What we're going to do on this channel is we're going to introduce you to some hopefully high level tactical battle reports for Warhammer 40k Kill Team. We'll be playing Nova Open missions as well as Arena. We might play some Commander, but mostly Elites. We're going to use an overlay that will hopefully allow you to follow the game from the start, but also allow you to just drop in halfway through, and we'll hopefully also be able to stream some games during tournaments later on. So this is just going to be a first game that we're going to produce, report and commentate. So I'll show you the overlay, and here's the overlay as well. As you can see, we're using like general stuff that you need during the game: the command point, the victory points, the objectives that you can see at the bottom left and right for player 1 and player 2. I can also change the type of situation we're in. So for example, I just changed it to deployment because that's where we're going to start the game, of course. So just settle down, enjoy the view, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side of the bridge. Alright, so here's the game. We got Asuryani on the left, with a couple of Striking Scorpions, 2 Storm Guardian Gunners, heavy weapon platform, Dire Avenger Exarch Leader, as well as some Dire Avengers. On the right side we got the Orks. They've got 15 kill team members. There's a few boss knobs, a few commandos. So both players will be looking to use deep strike in order to control the field. As you can see, we're playing Nova Open. We're using 5 objectives, 1 in the center, 2 on both sides of the field in the player's deployment zone. You can score points for holding 1, holding 2, or holding more than your opponent, which you can max at 3, so you can only score 9 points for the primary objective. And the secondary objectives were chosen by the players out of 6 objectives. The Asuryani players has chosen for obliteration, which is destroy a model with a higher damage weapon, called shot, which is kill a model with a readied model, and unfazed, which means you have to fire overwatch while also not retreating during the turn. The Orc player has chosen for scout the field, proximity roll and prey on the weak, which means scout the field he needs to be at 3 different sides of the board. So he clearly wants to spread out, which he should be able to since he's got quite a few bodies on the field. Proximity alert means he needs to get 2 of his models within 1 inch of 2 of the within 2 inch of one of the elder player models. And prey on the weak means he needs to take down a model with a flash wound to score a point, and also the secondaries can only score 3 points maximum. If you want to know more about Nova Open missions, just look for the Nova Open mission pack on the internet, and you'll find all the rules. So deployment is started, and as you can see, both players are setting up. The heavy weapon platform is deployed on the objective with 2 potential fire lanes. Your player spreading out and also already preparing for deep strike, trying to prevent the Striking Scorpions from entering. And we're also starting the timer. Both players have 124 and 125 points, so they both start with 2 command points. And as you can see, we are moving to the primary movement phase, and there's already been used the command point to veteran move the Orc boss snap. So initiative goes to the elder player, and he starts with his movement phase. So the elder player mostly wants to move up the field, while still staying out of charge range for at least the first turn. and setting up his models in a way that he can get obliteration and cold shot, which means he wants to get models in a position where he can ready them, shoot, and then run. You can use fire on fate to create even more distance, even in the second turn, and hopefully you can score a few points by doing so. You can also use fire and fate offensively, of course, in order to get to a more favorable position, or maybe sneak out a few objectives. The Orc player, on the other hand, needs to spread out on the field to scout the field, but he also wants to get as close as possible as quickly as he can, because he needs to score proximity alert and he almost has no shooting. So he basically needs to get into combat, which is also the weakness of the other player, so that really plays well into his favor. As you can see, the other player is moving up the board, trying to cover the edges, and he's moving his Storm Guardian Gunners up in the center. They need to do most of the damage, or at least the high damage weapon as well as the weapon platform. So it's kind of like creating a hammer, and he's hopefully hoping to produce an anvil there in the center. So you can see he's screened the center objectives, which means the Orc player won't be able to, or it's very dangerous for the Orc player now to try and score the center objective, and because the other player has a shot at least one model, most likely, he can take a few shots and maybe do some damage, which is needed for him. And even in this next turn, only a few Orcs might be able to reach the other player. So this is well played by the other player so far. So we see the Orcs moving up, trying to make use of the line of sight blocking trees. He's advancing most of them, as you might be able to see on the movement dice that we are using. So what's very important to note is that the heavy weapon platform is currently only able to look at the center objective. So as you can see, your player is trying to move to the left and the right, and the other player hasn't done a very good job so far in preventing the Orc player from taking the sides. Of course, the other player doesn't know yet whether or not the Orc player does have the secondary objective of scout the field, but it's highly likely, of course, that the Orc player is going for that objective. Excuse me. So most movements have been done. Both players have screened out their own deployment zone, disallowing both players to deep strike behind the lines, and both players have expended one command point to drop in with their deep strike models. So as you can see, the other player is going first, and he's trying to get a shot with a striking scorpion, preventing the Orc player from dropping in and at the center. Well, and this means the other player is going to score more points on the primary, unless the Orc player manages to take out the striking scorpion on the center there. So next up is the Orc player's turn, and this is a very clever drop that he's doing here. And there's a position here that allows him to drop in a aggressive position, which is a dangerous position as well, because it's very likely that the other player is going to get a few shots on this commando, but because of the obstructive rule as well as the commando rule, the commando will get -2 to hit, so this makes him very, very tricky to remove, and he's also going to have a decent chance at getting in combat next turn if he survives, and also already threatening the left bottom objective. So here we can see the striking scorpion exarch dropping in on the left side, trying to protect the flank. while also threatening a few of the orcs there. Again, both players are trying to fight for the midfield, which is crucial in missions like this, because the center objective is going to get you the edge in the primary objective, and the one who controls the center also has the potential to either take out one of the other objectives, and most likely will kill more of the opponent as well. So one of the other commandos got dropped in the center, close to the objective, but also in line of sight of a few models of the other, which is tricky, but again the commando has a -2 to hit, so it's not so dangerous for him to drop in a position like that. So we're moving to the shooting phase, and we're starting with the star cannon. The star cannon got readied, so he really wants to get a shot in here, potentially kill a model. Unfortunately, this attack misses. So ready models go first, of course, and then some of the other models. This is another missed shot because of the one gets reroll, but that's another one. So here goes a commando. He shoots a pistol, hits, wounds, which is very fortunate. The Storm Guardian gunner doesn't defend, and he gets taken out of action right away. And this is a bit of a misplay by the other player. He should have shot with the Storm Guardian gunner first, because he might have been able to take out one of the commandos there. Now the other player has gotten a free kill. Very fortunate, but that's the kind of thing that can happen. So now the other player is looking to return some fire, but this Storm Guardian gunner doesn't avenge his companion. It's another miss, trying to reroll with the lucky gets reroll, doesn't get it. Here goes another shot into the bus knob. 2 shots, 1 hits, 2 hits. 1 goes through, doesn't save it, and that's 1 wound down, because the bus knob has 2 already. Return fire, doesn't get in. And here's the striking scorpion. It's going to shoot a grenade. Or a pistol this time. And it's a flash wound already. This is the Dire Avenger, going into the orc at the top. It's over half range, so this might be certainly a 5 up, and misses as well. So far the other player hasn't done the damage he was probably looking for. And then again, he's already taken a wound of the boss knob, taken a flash wound, but having lost the Storm Guardian gunner is quite crucial, especially considering his secondary objectives. He might have been able to screen a little bit better to protect his Storm Guardians, especially with the situation at the bottom left, where he could have placed his striking scorpion where the commando is, and this would have allowed him to both prevent the commando from dropping in this far, as well as being able to drop a grenade on the orcs that are on the bottom side of the field. So all shooting is done, and we're moving to the morale phase. No morales need to be taken, but the objectives are counted, and player 1 scores 1, 2 and 3 because he owns more, and player 2 scores 1 and 2, and then we move to the initiative, which goes to the other player, I believe. Both players actually use command points as well. For a first move, and the other player wins, which means he gets to make a charge first. or rather the Orc player wins the roll no Overwatch shots, and the boss knob makes it in. So this is a very smart move by the Orc player, is trying to prevent the Striking Scorpion Exarch from hitting, because either the boss knob or the Striking Scorpion Exarch is most likely taking out one of those two. And the Striking Scorpion makes sure the Orc can't pile in onto him on the center objective, which means the center objective is now still an open firing field and very dangerous for the Orc player. So this is a smart move. The Orc player is trying to get in with some other movements now. As you can see, the Striking Scorpion on the bottom of the field charged into the commando, making sure he doesn't charge the weapon platform. And now the weapon platform finally gets moved to the side in order to take a shot at both the center objective as well as trying to take out some Orcs that are trying to scout the fields, which is an objective the Orc player scored already. So for turn 2, it's again very crucial for the Eldar player to try and keep his distance, but he also needs to take some risk now, because the commando might break through, both on the bottom side as well as the boss knob on the top side. At the same time, the Orc player is not capable of scoring some objectives he might want to score. Again, because the center objective doesn't have any models that can be charged, and that's a smart play by the other player. So the other player is again keeping his distance, making sure he stays out of charge range, while also maintaining his fire lanes. And if you go first, like the Elder player has to here, this is something that you need to do as a shooting army. Get into position that allows you to think one turn ahead. So stay out of charge range and see if you can get in position where you can take a shot, or allow yourself to fire Overwatch at least for the following turn, since the opponent might move in and then get a lucky initiative roll on the following turn. So the Orc player charges into the Striking Scorpion, trying to take out one of the Striking Scorpions that is going to move in there. And he's also moving up his Orcs now that they don't need to screen the backfield. So some of the Orcs that are quite far back. You can see the two on the far right. They most likely didn't have to be that far back, which means the Orc player is not using all of his models currently, and he's only now starting to get across half of the field with most of his models. And this is a bit late, because the Orc player needs to get into combat as quickly as he can, because you can still see that the other player has a pretty safe firing base. He can still control the midfield by shooting down some Orcs, unless the Orc player can get this a few of the charges in. So this is a bit of a misplay by the other player. He wasn't able to see the Orc commando, which could have been crucial, because the Dire Avenger XR has two weapons that he can shoot one at a time, firing Overwatch on a 5+, and that's very good against commandos who are almost always hit on a 5+ anyway. Unlucky for the Orc player, he doesn't get to reach the charge here, I believe. And the Orc player is checking to see if the other player can fire and fade his way into the objective, which he can. So the Orc player now knows that he has to find a way to start scoring more objectives, either in the secondary or in the primary. Proximity alert is an objective your player might score this turn, considering the situation in the top half of the field, where he has 2 orcs, or 3 orcs close to 2 models. So assuming 2 of the orc models survive and 1 other model survives, he might score proximity alert. There are currently no models with flash wounds, so pretty on weak is a hard one. Whereas for the other player, he has fired Overwatch this turn and has not retreated, so he's going to score unfazed. We're going to shooting phase. So there's a flash wound on the commando, getting some wounds through. He clearly wanted to get a obliteration, it doesn't happen, and that's another flash wound. With a reroll, spent the command point, very unlucky, didn't get it. He needed a 4, 5 or 6, so that was a nice try. And he fired on fates to get onto the objective, so the other player is down to 0 command points. But still, this is a good position. The Dire Avenger on the center is not a specialist, so it's a model the other player can easily throw away. And now if the Orc player wants to charge the Dire Avenger, he again gives up an unfazed point to the other player, because the Dire Avenger has vision to almost all orc models that have a possibility to charge. So shots are fired, and the hero model is taken out of action. On the side, which is very lucky for the other player. Oh, I'll move it to shooting as well, since we've been shooting for a while now. Rerolling would be built on if you want to follow the dice rolls. And he got another flash wound, I believe. This is firing the star cannon, getting a hit, and no wounds, which is unlucky. Again, the star cannon needs to get some kills for obliteration. So the other player again scored no points for obliteration this turn. And this is something that's tricky to do. So already the other player has taken out 1 model which had a flash wound, and there's another model with 2 flash wounds on the field as well. And currently the other player could have easily gotten scout the field and play on the weak for both turns that have been played now, or are being played right now. But then again, Cold Shield and Obliteration are 2 very good secondary objectives as well. So you just need to take a gamble and figure out if you can play it. And sometimes the dice are just a little bit unlucky. But creating opportunity will give you some points eventually. So we're moving to the combat, and this is the Orc boss knob taking out the Striking Scorpion Exarch, which is very big. The Striking Scorpion Exarch could have easily taken out at least 1 or both of the Orcs there, and it would have allowed the or Eldar player to take over the flank. But the Striking Scorpion luckily takes out the boss knob because of the 1 wound that the boss knob already lost. And the Striking Scorpion tries to block the Orc player. The Orc player wisely opts to not pile in here, which he could have because it made a successful charge, but he chooses not to get within 1 inch of the Striking Scorpion. This allows him to still score a point on scout the field later on in the turn. And here we're taking another battle at the bottom, but this time the Striking Scorpion doesn't survive again, and the commando gets to break through, and this is very crucial for the Orc player. So the orc player has won the battle at the bottom, which allows him to push in with his line of orcs that are left there. And at the same time, the fight at the top of the field is still undecided with Striking Scorpion and the orc left. So you can already see that your orc player is taken over the bottom half of the field here, and the elder player is slowly taking over the top side of the field. At the same time, the elder player still has the weapon platform, his Exarch, as well as a few Dire Avengers and a Storm Guardian gunner at the center. So currently the elder player is probably in a favorable position, because the other player has control over the midfield and can still shift his attention one way or the other depending on who gets the initiative. So we're moving over to the objectives. Player 2 scores 2 points again, player 1 scores 3 points. We got unfazed, and here we go for initiative. Moving. So the orc player got to go first. I need to keep up with my points here. Let's see. So scout the field was scored. Hold 1, hold 2 for player 2, hold 1, hold 2, hold more for player 1, and unfazed for player 1. Currently the score is 8 to 6. Now here we see something interesting. The orc player is trying to move up the commando by using a command point for first move, and the elder player, seeing that he's getting overwhelmed at the bottom of the field, is deciding to make a move through to the enemy deployment zone. He's realized he needs to take over one more objective, and since the orc player has kind of left the top side, he decides to push through and see if he can score some points, again clearing the midfield with his Dire Avenger, making sure it still maintains open shooting area, and not allowing the orc player to use the Dire Avenger as a bridge to reach the back line. So now the orc player again needs to make a choice whether or not he wants to sit on the center objective and get shot, or still go for the farther away objectives where the other player has most of his models, which is also trickier because again they can shoot back and are still not or in charge range, or at least at a far away distance. So the other player is trying to figure out if he can get a good overwatch shot with his Storm Guardian, looking to throw grenades most likely, while also trying to use the Dire Avengers with their Overwatch on a 5+. So the other player opted to see if he could get most of the shots in at the center, but decided to try and see if he can prevent the orc player from scoring his secondary objectives. And he can also get a lot of shots on the side, and if the other player wants to hold on to his own objective on the bottom left for as long as he can. So the orc player decides to counter charge, obviously. So we have one orc being charged and one orc that charged the Striking Scorpion. Striking Scorpion will get the fight first, so he might actually push through. Here we can see the orc player firing, going in, and he finally gets there. So even though he made the charge, you can see that it's still an objective that's not being captured by this orc that just charged in there. So your player really needs to get one of his orcs into the fray on the center objective, and luckily this orc is out of range or out of line of sight. He decides to reroll his charge, doesn't make it, which is unfortunate, so he just decides to move closer. And now he needs to take a risk. So grenade, 3 shots, that's a 6. and no wound, which is lucky because it already has 2. So he decides to reroll, and that's another flesh wound. So the orc player, or the elder player, again spent a command point, not taking out the commando, which now has 3 flesh wounds, but is contesting the center objective. Very unfortunate for the elder player, and very lucky for the orc, because the orc has now has got a bridge they can use to reach the back line of the other player, and the orc is currently controlling most of the objectives on the primaries, and he has an option to break through on the back left, or the bottom left of the field. So now that there are almost no models that can shoot back at the center of the objective, the orc player decides to make a run to the center, giving up his scout the field potentially, trusting that he can score it later in the game on turn 4, because he only needs to get 1 more scout the field point, and this way he can get out of the star cannon, the Dire Avenger as well. So this is a good move. He tried to get in some charges, didn't make it, but he's still getting in there. The 2 orcs at the back in the Congo line at the bottom are not as far as the orc player wants, probably, because they don't have any really good targets right now. So here we go, we fight, and already we shoot first, getting some shots in at the orcs. It's a long range and obscured, so that's no hits. This is a long one, 18-inch range. Both orcs are in range, so they are both within 2. So he gets to take a shot at both, missing again. So the other player really wants to get some hits in, because the orcs are going to overrun him if he doesn't take out a few, especially if some of Storm Guardians stay alive. So this is a hit, but again the wound is not getting through. And here we go to combat. Now the Striking Scorpion actually takes out the orc with his Mandi blasters. Very lucky, this is exactly what the other player needed. Very lucky, because now the Striking Scorpion only has to take out 1 more orc, and he can pile into the Gretchen leader on the top right. So he already starts his fight phase, pile in, 1 hit, 1 wound, fails the save, and takes out the orc. This is really crucial in this part of the game, because the other player is about to get overrun, but now he's back in the game, and this is a big turn, because we're already in turn 3. It's looking like the other player is still going to score more on the primary, which means he might reach the 9 point on the primaries, and he only needs to score secondaries then. Secondaries are equal now, so the other player might run away with the game here, unless the other player or the orc player hits back hard, which is what he's trying to do right now. Rolling once doesn't help, especially if they get saved. Very lucky on the save there. And the boss snap other commando fails to take out the extra. So that's a wound, and this time the Guardian saves it as well. That's a strong Guardian defender there. Dire Avenger gets attacked, gets wounded, no saves, or only 1, and gets taken out. The Storm Guardian is closest, so the orc needs to pile into the Storm Guardian, which he might not want to, but he decides to do it anyway. The Gretchen really needs some help down on the bottom, on the top right. And we're rolling back. Exarch doesn't manage to hit or wound. Storm Guardian decides to pile in, I believe. Even though he wants to be able to score a point there, still wants to prevent the Orc from getting closer. And this is a smart move again. You really want to keep the Orcs as far away as possible from the objectives that Eldar currently controls. We're rolling for Maul, rolling on 1, so he's safe, and we're scoring the points. So no scout the fields, proximity alert does get scored. Player 2 scores, hold 1, hold 2. Player 3 scores, hold 1, 2 or more. And manages to score faced again, I believe. Yes. And we're rolling off for initiative. Initiative goes to the Orc player, which is good for the other player. Both players go to 2 points. I think I missed something. Other player decides to make a first move and get out of the way. Again, making sure the Orc doesn't have a safe bridge, or at least not a bridge that he wants to go to, because the Orc doesn't have anything going for him at the right side. He doesn't need to be there, doesn't want to be there, especially now as the final turns. So the Orc player decides to go for the objective that he needs to get. Take out the Exarch that's blocking, protecting the leader Exarch, or the hero he is. And again, so currently the difference is 3 points. The Orc player needs to score more on the primary in order to get at least 1 point, and needs he just needs to score more. Scoring more primary objectives means he is taking 1 point more than the other player, which closes the gap to 2 points. And then he needs to score either scout the field, proximity alert at least, or prey in a week, preferably of course all 3, which he can. So again, the Orc player actually can win this turn as long as the other player doesn't score cold shot or obliteration. Scoring cold shot or obliteration finishes the game, and the other player needs to prevent your player from scoring either scout the field or hold more, because the prey on the weak and proximity alerts are 2 objectives that are really hard to prevent right now, because the Orcs are finally starting to get into the backline of the other player. So the Orc is making sure he stays within 1 inch, because the objective is exactly 4 inch from the backline deployment. He is mathematically able to stay exactly where he needs to be. He moves his Orcs to the side, making sure they're not within 2 inch of each other, so that the other player cannot spit fire. I believe the Orc player was very hesitant here. He wasn't sure whether he wanted to go for scout the field here, because he knew he had to give up a lot of shots to the other player, which was very dangerous of course, given that he could have figured out the other player had cold shot obliteration, which the Orc player didn't know for sure right now, but based on the objectives that were available, and given the fact that the other player hadn't scored prey in the week, hadn't scored scout the field, but was able to if he had the objective, the Orc player could have known right now that the other player had to score obliteration and cold shot. So the Orc player made a bit of a mistake here, not respecting that fact, and the other player now moves in to try and see if he can finish the game by readying the Star Cannon, readying the Dire Avenger, as well as trying to get as many shots in on the orcs that are on the outside of the field there, making sure to still score points with his striking scorpion. Even though he doesn't need the points, he needs to make sure that he scores as many objectives as he can to prevent the orc from holding more. Remember that the striking scorpion can throw a grenade, which does huge damage on a single model if you need it to. Grenades are always a great tool. Remember, you got those. So we're moving to the shooting phase. That's the hit, and that's a wound. That's a flash wound. Already on the orcs on the bottom. As you can see, there are 2 orcs there. Both got a flash wound already. And at the bottom left, the comms, the Avenger is still alive. And that's great for the other player. You really needed comms here. So the other player is trying to figure out if he needs to shoot the bottom or the middle. Decides to go for the models at the bottom. Goes through the save, 2 damage, and takes out 1 model. So this means he scores obliteration and cold shot. And actually that's already probably the game, because the orc player simply cannot score more than 4 points right now. So this means the other player has got the game. Of course, they still continue to play. See if the orc player can still get in there. So it might still be a close game. So shots are continue to be fired. And that's another orc taken down on the side. This is a grenade going into the other orc. As you can see, grenades are amazing. 5 shots. What do you need? And that's another orc down. No scout the field, and now the orc player knows now he's made a mistake. Going for 4 turns, scout the field, and not scoring hold more in the earlier turns was a mistake, because he's missing 3 points essentially now on his primary. And even if he didn't score the hold more 3 times, he still gave it up 3 times. So the orc player probably wasn't aggressive enough in this specific game, or at least could have been more aggressive, especially with the 3 or 4 orcs that were at the bottom behind the ice block. He could have pushed those orcs to the bottom left objective or the center objective earlier. So we're moving on, and that's actually game there. Orc player doesn't manage to take out any of the other in combat. Very unlucky. Dire Avenger Exarch takes out the boss knob there, and that's the game. Yeah, that's the score as well. Let's see, proximity alert was scored the turn before. So this is the final score. Nice game. Lots of stuff going on. As you could see, the orc player wasn't able to hold the center of the field, which was crucial in the end, because he gave up too many of the hold more, allowing the other player to walk away with 3 points on the primary, and getting those points back is so hard if you can't manage to score the secondaries early enough. I believe the other orc player also got another prey in the week. So excuse me. The orc player didn't score prey in the week and didn't score proximity alert. So the score was 14-9, which is a decent enough victory for the other player. Good game, well played by both guys. They did what they had to do. The Orc player could have been more aggressive in a couple of turns, but the other player made great use of what he had available to him by making sure the center objective was always contested by shooting units, not allowing the Orc player to get in onto the objective, while also scoring the objective by using Fire and Fate aggressively and deep striking onto the objective. The Orc player did get unlucky in turn 3, where the striking Scorpion on the top managed to take out 2 Orcs and make a beeline for the other side of the bridge, basically, taking down 2 Orcs there, and then another one in the 4th turn, preventing the Orc player from scoring Scout the field for the 3rd time. So yeah, there was a great move by the striking Scorpion. A bit lucky on the dice roll, but that's what you need if you want to win the war. Well played, and I hope you enjoyed this game. We had a lot of fun. I hope you were able to keep up with all the scoring. I still need to work on keeping them up to date during the game, but I hope this helped you to keep up with the game at least. We'll continue to see if we can produce more of these battle reports. Let us know if you like them. You can leave a comment below, somewhere else on any media that we're using, Reddit, Facebook, you name it. If you can find us anywhere, just leave a comment. We would love to know what you think of it. I'll be trying to post battle reports as often as I can. We will be playing at in Holland mostly, at Arnhem Nijmegen, which is also where our channel name is coming from. Bridge Too Far is an event in the Second World War where the invading armies didn't manage to get the right bridge, and they were one bridge too far, essentially, making a tactical misplay there, which is something that we do quite often on the tabletop as well. Just reaching a little bit too far, getting unlucky. You never know what happens. So we'll see you on the other side, and look forward to the next battle report. Bye.